students, you are tuning in to another session of IC University. Every class is an opportunity to become a better you. So get your pen and pad out and get ready to soak up some knowledge.
We ready?
As you know, I am the content queen, so constant evolution is important to keeping me a topic of interest. Social media has allowed us to touch so many more people and opportunities than ever before. But social media is also a tricky tool that can either make you a boss or get you tossed.
Tell them, sis.
This semester at IC University is extra special because we're bringing a diverse group of amazing guests. Today's guest has influenced so many men and women, including myself. He is best known for his infamous book, The 48 Laws of Power and the Art of Seduction. Students, please welcome Robert Greene.
I'm coming in fast. First place, you coming in last. I'm hitting that gas. I'm hitting that.
Today's guest is no stranger to power and has influenced so many. He is best known for his book, The 48 Laws of Power. And growing up, I remember my mom having this orange, bright book laying around the house, and she had Post-it notes and pens inside of it, always making notes. And one day I picked it up, and from there I was completely enthralled and engulfed in the way he thought and the way he constructed his ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robert Greene. It's an honor to have you here, and I'm pretty sure millions of people would love to hear you speak.
Okay, I hope so.
So without further ado, because he does have a busy schedule and is currently working on a new book, I would love to get into the first question. One of your popular laws is to raise value through absence. In this new social media world where success is increased from being more public, how do we maintain value while staying transparent and accessible?
I'm coming in fast. First place, you coming in last. I'm hitting that gas. I'm hitting that.
Well, it's an extremely important question. It's something I looked at in the 48 Laws of Power, but also in my second book, The Art of Seduction, which I believe you've read and mastered. So any kind of public, working with the public or getting attention is a form of seduction. Mm-hmm. It's almost a form of a sexual seduction. Mm-hmm. You're seducing the public, you're getting them fascinated by you, and you're getting them to fall in love with your image. So we know in personal relationships, I think we can all relate to this, that if the person is pursuing us or that we're interested in is too familiar, is too present, if they're calling us all of the time, if they're continually bugging us, if we know everything about them, their personal tastes, their little pet peeves, they become too familiar. We lose any sense of mystery. And the charge that a seduction needs is kind of flat, right? Mm-hmm. We know too much about them. Mm-hmm. But if the person is too absent, right, they never return your phone calls, they're never around, you never get to see them, you're not able to create any kind of fantasy around them, right? So the ultimate thing in the seduction is you're present, you're there, your presence is very intense, but when you're not there, which, I don't know how often it is, every now and then, you make the other person think about you. Mm-hmm. They become obsessed with you. They become fascinated. There's a kind of an image that they create in their head, a fantasy. Mm-hmm. That's the ultimate power that you can get in a seduction, right? So in the social media world, it's something similar. It's not like you have to disappear for several weeks or months on end, because that really won't work. Is that you have to create a degree of mystery around you, right? Mm-hmm. If people know too much about you, if you're always there, if you're in their face all of the time in your social media presence, there's no room to create any kind of fantasy. Mm-hmm. And secretly, people will begin to disrespect you like they would in a kind of a personal relationship, right? Mm-hmm. But if you keep them guessing, if they don't know what Saweetie's gonna do next, if they don't know everything about you, if they're waiting to find out, what's she gonna say next time, or what's her next message, or what's her next video, or whatever, you've got them hooked, right? You've got them fascinated, you get them obsessed with you. So you have to know when to pull back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like you're not, so it's more like creating a bit of mystery around you and creating an element of surprise. Like, I try to do that a little bit with my books. Mm-hmm. If I make it too predictable, if my next book is too similar to the last one, people begin to take me for granted. I always mix it up. I always make the next book coming at people from a different angle. And they go, whoa, he's writing about that? That's weird. Right? So I think that's a little bit what the game is like.
So for a moment, I would love to just cross-pollinate two of your laws because I feel like they can be mutually beneficial for someone who is a public figure. So the first one is absence, increase honor and respect. And then another one is be elusive and be an object of desire.
Right.
I feel like if you cross-pollinate two of those things, you'll be good as a social media or as a public figure. Do you agree, or what do you think?
And I love that word cross-pollinate. That's very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, in seduction, I talk about becoming an object of desire, right? Where you're literally like an object that people are seeing and they want to possess you, right? They want to hold on to you, they want to buy you or whatever it is, right? And so it's like, we know the feeling if you pass by a restaurant, for instance, which is crowded with people, right? You go, wow, that must be a good restaurant. I'm going to go in there. If you pass by a restaurant, there's only 2 people there and nobody looks very happy and the waiters are kind of looking grumpy and they're in the back. That must not be a very good restaurant. Well, it's the same thing in life. If you're surrounded by people who love you, who are interested and fascinated by you, you attract other people. You become an object of desire. People fetishize you. So it's like you want to create an element of desire around you so that people desire you. So you have to be a little bit elusive, right? You have to pull back every now and then. You have to surprise them and make them guess, and so that restaurant keeps filling up with more and more people, and you create this kind of viral momentum effect, where if 1 million people are following Saweetie, or by now 10 million people are following you on Instagram, there must be something there to it. We all know the feeling that when somebody follows us on Instagram and they only have 40 followers, well, something, I don't know about that person, right? But if we see, 100,000, well, we start getting interested, right? So there's an element of desire and interest because, so like in a sexual situation, if there's a man that you're interested in, and you see that other women are interested in him, that increases his value tenfold, right?
Of course.
But if you see that nobody else is interested in you, there's an element, it's not the best, doesn't say the best thing about human nature. We want what other people have. It's called covetousness. So if people see that you're desired by others, they're going to desire you. So that's the element of being elusive. And then the absence and presence thing is what I talked about before. You want people to respect you. You want people to feel a sense of honor and dignity about you. So if you've noticed, like in meetings, in a business situation, the person who has power is the person who doesn't talk the most, right? That really kind of creates an aura of power around you. And I've been in meetings like that. I wrote a book with 50 Cent. I saw him in a lot of meetings.
The 50th Law.
50th Law. And that guy mastered that perfectly. He's the one that speaks the least in the room. And then when he does say something, wow, whoa, he said that, that's amazing. I learned a lot observing him in meetings. So when you talk so much, you become almost too familiar. It looks like you're not so powerful, you can't control yourself. But if you talk less, people think there's something about you. There's an aura of mystery about you. And they're kind of pulled into you. And there's an element of respect for that. So that's sort of what to use your word, cross-pollinating of those 2 laws would be.
Well, I appreciate those gems. For those who are watching, y'all ain't gonna get this nowhere else, okay? So for my next question, would you add any additional laws to your book as the world evolves?
I'm coming in fast. First place, you coming in last. I'm hitting that gas. I'm hitting that.
Well, I generally like to say that the 48 Laws of Power is complete. That there's, because what I did for that book is I researched a lot of books from all cultures, from all time periods. And it pertains to men, to women, to all races, to all sexual persuasions, etc. I wanted a universality for the book, right? And so I wanted to give the sense that it's complete. Okay, but that's a little bit of a sell there. It's a little bit of hype. I understand.
Right.
So the only thing I would add is in the social media environment, there's a kind of hyper intensity to the attention levels that people have.
Right.
And so these are in the laws, but it's sort of worse now in the sense you have to be extremely careful with what you say, with what you put out in the world, right? Because there's a trigger kind of thing of people being very sensitive. And the slightest thing you say or do that could be taken the wrong way, particularly if you're a celebrity, because unfortunately it's human nature that people almost like to turn against people who are in positions who are famous, right? They like to dig up dirt on them. They're excited about it. That's what kind of fuels a lot of websites and programs, right? Digging up dirt on celebrities. And so, particularly when you're in a position of power, you have to be so careful in media environment, the things that you say and that you do. You almost have to have a little bit of a censor in your mind. You have to go, I mean, how many times do we see in public, in media, people who say something and they get in a lot of trouble and you go, man, that was so stupid. How can you be so fucking stupid? If you thought 1 second, if you had that little sensor in your brain, you would have said, that's the wrong image to post. That's the wrong opinion to have out there. It's gonna make me look bad. You have to be a little bit more political in this world.
Definitely.
Right? So I compared the laws of power to like a court in Louis XIV, right? The Palace of Versailles, where you have all these elegantly dressed courtiers, and they're all trying to impress the king, right? And they have to be very careful with what they say, right? Because if they say one thing and the king gets offended, you're out, forget it, you're gone, you're in real trouble. You're not gonna get any money, you're not gonna get any power. So it's all about playing this delicate game. Well, I compare the world to this giant court, right? This is like a giant Versailles we live in. And you have to be even more careful than in the Palace of Versailles. So you have to pay extra attention to your reputation. That's law number 5.
Guard your reputation at all costs.
Yes, it's the most important thing you have. And saying or doing something that makes people doubt you, makes people think that you're a hypocrite, that's another thing. You have to be very consistent with what you do. If you put out this image that you're incredibly virtuous, that you're in favor of all the right causes, blah, 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 and then you're caught up doing something that contradicts that, with your pants down or whatever the expression would be,
right?
People are gonna jump on you, right? So you have to be consistent. You have to be very careful. And so that would be the only law I would add, but it's part of all of the laws about always say less than necessary, about guard your reputation at all costs, things like that. So that would be maybe the one thing I would add.
Well, if you ever do a book that focuses on social media, I would love to be one of your case studies.
Well,
just throwing it out there.
It would be I could write a book just about you, just like I did the 50th Law about 50 Cent, because you've kind of mastered the art. You should write the book, not me.
I think we should write it together.
Okay, all right, definitely.
I know that's right. Robert Greene dropped so many gems that we had to cut it into 2 parts.